Hello and welcome to another episode of Be Scared. This is not really my story, it's my grandma's. And as I've mentioned before, my grandma is a witch. She's still alive. She's still very much here. I'm so thankful for that. But my grandma is a witch. She hasn't practiced very much recently because she hasn't had the time, but she is still a devoted witch. And there was a time when I was younger that my grandma and her late husband would go tornado chasing. We lived in Clay Como and there was a lot of tornadoes, like literally all the time. And she would love to take me with her because I would beg and I would beg and I would beg. And there was this one night specifically that I was begging to go with, and she just did not want me to go. She had a bad feeling. She could feel it in her gut that I should not be in that vehicle, but they still went anyways. And after about 30 minutes of me begging and my grandpa not understanding why she was saying no, she was like, yeah, sure, go get your coat, we'll go. And they left while I was grabbing my coat. And they got about 1.5 miles down the road when a hubcap was thrown through the windshield and landed in my car seat. And it hit my car seat so hard that it left a dent in my car seat. And if it wouldn't have been for my grandma's intuition and something telling my grandma not to bring me, I would be dead. And that's so crazy to think about. And she came home. They immediately turned around, and her and my grandpa sat there and wrapped me in their arms and cried on the floor with me. And I didn't understand what was happening. My mother didn't understand what was happening. We were all just confused. And when they finally told us, my mother started bawling. And I just couldn't understand at the time why they were crying and why this was so significant. And looking back, I've realized that I've had a lot of things in my life really protect me from, doing what it is I've done. And I found out a couple years ago that when I was a baby, my grandma put a protection spell on me. I was born with a birth defect, and it almost ended my life quite a few times. And when I was around 3, I had a dog attack my face and I almost died. And at some point in time there, my grandma put a protection spell on me, and it did its damn job keeping me safe. I was always so in touch with whether it was a good idea or a bad idea to do something, and every time I wouldn't do something and there was other people going, something bad would happen to one of them instead. And it was crazy. And I was about 16 or 17. I was 15. I was 15 when I learned that she had put the protection spell on me, because I remember that my friend and I couldn't get any of our ghost games to work. And it's because I couldn't get in to the point of vulnerability that I needed to be. And so we broke the protection spell. I know, like a bunch of idiots. And we broke the protection spell, and then we decided we were gonna go play hide and seek in the dark in the backfield behind their house. And we would count in the shed, and then we would go and we would look for everybody else in the dark. And I was running through the field and I was hiding, and I was in my hiding spot, and I could just see this tall man in a black hat and like one of those like top hat kind of things, and he was just standing about 100 feet away from me, and I could feel his eyes drilling holes into my head. And I was too scared to move. I was too scared to do anything. And I was there for I don't know how long before I had finally decided to give up and just go back to the house because I was so scared. And I walked back up to the house, and all of my friends were standing out behind the house, and they were like, "What the fuck, B? Where did you just come from?" And I was like, what are you talking about? I was fucking hiding like we were supposed to be. And they said that they looked for me for about 10 minutes, and when they couldn't find me, they yelled, "Okay, B, we give up. Where are you?" And my voice came from by the house. So they were looking for me around the house, and they couldn't find me anywhere. And they were looking in the top of the shed to see if maybe I had climbed up in the crawl space to get up there to like have the best hiding spot. And they were looking in trees. And then when I finally emerged from the field, they said they saw a shadow disappear behind me once it was in plain view of all of them. And after that night, I had the worst time sleeping. I have never slept well, but I couldn't sleep in my friend's house anymore until we had put like a protection barrier around their house, and their dad thought we were crazy. He thought we were batshit crazy. But I tell you what, that house had never felt safer. Because before we put the protection spell around their house, they would have just random shit like fly across the room and like fall off the walls. And there was one time after we put the protection circle around the house, and we used the salt method where you put it in the windowsills and the doors and stuff. Their dad had vacuumed in the kitchen, and he sucked up that entire salt ring. And he didn't tell us. And we were standing there, we were making pizzas, we were chilling, and I went to grab the pizzas out of the oven, and my friend had a death grip on that oven handle because they knew that I had a fear of being burned by the oven. I don't know why I had it. It was just always a psychological fear. Like, even now, I still don't take things out of the oven. I make my fiance do it. And I'm reaching in, and I have both of my hands in there, like with oven mitts, and I'm pulling this pizza out, and out of nowhere, the oven door slammed up on my arms, and I couldn't get my arms out, and they couldn't, like, it was like the door was stuck, and my arms were stuck in the oven for what felt like forever, but probably amounted to only about 10 seconds. And I had these huge burns all the way across my forearms, and I used scar ointment to help get rid of them. I don't like how she just talks to me. But I used some scar ointment to help get rid of those scars because they were really scary for me for a long time. But my friend couldn't explain to me why they couldn't get the oven open. And it wasn't that they weren't trying, but they just couldn't figure out why they couldn't get it open. And that was just one of those times where there's literally no explanation because that oven door never not worked. It was never hard to open. So, I mean, you know how it is.